All right, y'all. I just got this vague email with the data in the subject line, and that's from John Whitehead, and it has brb.csv as the only thing in the email. So I'm assuming that's my data for MBA 5110. So I'm going to download it and take a look. And this has a respondent ID, income, and there's only 2 or 3 digits in that number. So that means it's income of the respondent in thousands. Yes is a 0, 1 variable. That's your dependent variable for this assignment. Fee, that is the randomly assigned registration fee for the Blue Ridge Brutal road bike race in Ashe County. Time, ignore that, ignore selection probability, and ignore sampling weight. Those variables are just automatically included. So I want to analyze this with ordinary least squares regression. So if I click on data and data analysis in Excel, the data analysis box pops up, and I want to estimate a regression model. So click OK, and I need to select my independent and dependent variables. My dependent variable is the Y variable, and I think for most of y'all, maybe all of y'all, it's yes. This variable measures if they would sign up for the race or the event or Valley Fair next year at the higher registration fee. So we're going to input the Y range. I'm just going to highlight the entire column of data. And I'm going to input my X range, which is my primary independent variable, which in this case it's the registration fee. Okay, so my Y range goes from C1 to C135 and D1 to D135, and those numbers should match up in those columns. And this tells me I have 134 variables or lines of data, not variables, because the labels are in the first row. So once you have defined your range for the dependent variable and the range for the independent variable and clicked on labels, then you can just click OK, and Excel is going to estimate your regression model. And there it is. So the model tells me that about 7% of the variation is explained by the independent variable. My R squared is 0.07. My regression, my F test is 10.23. My significance level of here, 0.00173, tells me that there is a 99% chance that my model is statistically significant. My intercept is 1.42. And my t-statistic on the intercept is 4.96. And the rule of thumb is if the t-value is greater than 2, then your variable is statistically significant at least the 95% level. And there's 2 ways of checking that. One is with the p-value. Oops, and let's turn that into a number. And add a bunch of zeros. So my p-value has a lot of zeros and then a 2, and that tells us we're almost 100% confident that our intercept is not 0. Okay, the coefficient on the phi variable is negative 0.018, which tells us that as the registration fee increases, the probability that the participant will sign up for next year and pay the higher fee goes down. Okay, every dollar that the fee goes up, the probability goes down by almost 2%. Our t statistic is negative 3.198 or minus 3.2, which again is above 2. This tells us we're about 99% sure that that slope variable, the slope coefficient, is not 0. Okay, and I failed to mention that the other way to determine if your coefficient is different from 0 is if your lower and upper 95% confidence intervals do not overlap with 0. So here for the intercept, we're 95% sure that our intercept coefficient is between 0.85 and 1.99, and we're 95% sure that the slope coefficient is between negative 0.03 and negative 0.007. Okay, and so that's how you estimate your regression models. Okay, and you may have also received an email from SurveyMonkey. It looks like mine might be in my updates tab. Yeah, it is. So you get an email from Whitehead J at appstate.edu, and it's a SurveyMonkey generated email, and it's MBA 5110.research project results in the subject line. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to take a look at this email. So MBA 5110, here's the link to provide your answers to the ordinary least squares regression assignment. And the due date on that is February 17th at 9:30. So I'm going to begin the survey. And so let's see, the first question in this survey is, what is your data set? I don't want that to be my first question. So I'm going to add a question on the fly here. What is your name? First, last, get rid of that one. I'll save that. I'm going to move that to before the data set question. All right. So let's see. So I'm going to click on my begin survey again, see what happens. Yep. So now I can punch in my name. And the data set that I was sent is Blue Ridge Brutal. And it had a number after it. So BRB 1. So I'm telling my professor that that's the data set I get. And so the answers that I give should be matched up with the answers that my professor has for that data set. So click Next. And then you're asked for your dependent and independent variable names. So my dependent variable is yes. My independent variable is phi. Oh, and then number 4, what are the means of your dependent and independent variables? Okay, so we did not do that yet. We jumped right into the regression analysis because I was pretty excited about estimating that. Let's go back to the data. And we'll go back to data and data analysis. And we'll look at, we'll pass on descriptive statistics because the question only asks for what is the mean. So let's do equals average of C2 to C135. So that tells me that the average people who say yes they would sign back up is 0.51. So I'm going to go to my survey, and the average for my dependent variable is 0.51, and 2 digits to the right of the decimal is plenty for that question. Okay, and then the average fee, okay, the average of D2 to D35 is 49.59, and so I'm going to tell Whitehead it's 49.59. Okay, I'm satisfied with those answers, so click Next. And those are positive numbers. I'm not sure what the problem is. So I just unclick only allow numerical data. And I changed the survey, so it didn't like my answers. It's going to kick me out. So dependent variable is yes. Independent variable is phi. Dependent y, 0.51. And then 49.59 is the mean of my independent variable. A fee of $50. Click Next. So then it asks, estimate the regression model, or estimate the model y equals a plus bx, and fill in your results. So a is going to be the coefficient on my intercept. So that's 1.5 or 1.42. And the t-stat for A is 4.96. Okay, the coefficient on B, the slope, is negative 0.018. Okay, and for this number, make sure you give me 2 digits, non-zero digits to the right of the decimal. So do not round this one up to 2. We're going to lose some precision on that we don't want to lose. Okay, and then the t-stat for the slope is negative 3.20. Okay, and then your professor wants to see the F statistic and the R squared. So the F statistic is 10.23. And the R squared statistic is 0.072. And again, give me 2 digits to the right, 2 significant digits to the right of the decimal there, 2 non-zero digits. So that is all the professor wants. So I'm going to click Done. And again, it's saying click a positive number. And I'm going to enter all those numbers again. You're going to have to keep watching this video. That's annoying. Okay. So I'll edit this question. Go back to my own survey. Click Done. And it kicked me out. So just assume that I filled in the numbers there. I click done, and it kicks me out of the survey. So let's say you did forget to answer one of those questions at the end or something, and kicked you out. Then I believe I have it set up that you can go back in as long as the survey is still open. So let me click begin survey again. And there's my name and my saved answers. And I can complete the survey and click done. And I'll be finished. So that'll remain open until Wednesday at 9:30. Okay, so once we finish with the statistics, we'll be able to use this model to answer some questions about elasticity and some other things. And while we're here, let's just remember how to estimate a multiple regression model. So everyone has the income variable included in there. And to estimate a multiple regression model, we want our independent variables to be contiguous. I'm going to move that income variable over to right next to the fee. Click on data, data analysis, regression. And my dependent variable is yes. My independent variables are fee and income. So I highlight both of those columns, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you probably can't see that, so let's see, here we go. So scroll all the way down to the bottom, click the box, and we've got columns C and D, labels checked, click OK, and you will get another sheet with two independent variables, fee and income. We had income, we have a positive coefficient, which means that as income increases, the respondents are more likely to buy the product or register for the event again. It's statistically significant. The t-stat is above 2. The r-squared increases from 0.07 to 10 or to 0.10, which means we go from explaining 7% of the variation in the dependent variable to explaining 10% of the variation in the dependent variable. And then our S statistic is still significant at the 99% level.